Hi guys, my name's Alana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Mental Health with Alana. If you're new here, please click the red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up as it'd really help me out. Also click that bell notification button so you know when I'm posting a video. I post videos every Monday and Friday, and I do singing covers, mental health topics, and also throw in a bit of beauty and lifestyle stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely follow. I also just want to mention that I do have a business called Care Boxes by Alana. I create sensory boxes for your mental health. If you would like to check it out and look at my options of boxes, then you can go to my Instagram at Care Boxes by Alana. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about the positive and negative. So, I have schizoaffective disorder, which means I have schizophrenia with a mood disorder. So for my case, it's a bipolar disorder. And so this, having an illness like schizophrenia, it can really make your thinking abilities quite, like, I would say not normal. So the way that you kind of process the environment, the world, other people, your senses, things like that is quite different. And you know, like, how you experience the world is often not how other people experience it. And I think a lot of people talk about like the positive symptoms of schizophrenia, but people don't really talk about the negative ones. So first of all, what do I mean when I say positive and negative? So positive symptoms of schizophrenia is when things are added. So that could be hallucinations, it can be delusions, it can be having like confused thoughts or disorganized speech, trouble concentrating, and also kind of like movement disorders, so being very like either catatonic or kind of the opposite, where you're very unsettled, you're kind of jumpy and you move around. So those are positive symptoms, which I'm going to go into detail on each of them. But negative symptoms are where you're taking something away. So negative symptoms can be things like having lack of pleasure. It can be trouble with speech, a flattening of mood, withdrawing from people and becoming isolated, and just struggling with like basic life tasks, not being able to find a desire to socialize. Those type of things are, you know, kind of what's being taken away from the person. So I think like a lot of the positive symptoms are quite well known when it comes to schizophrenia. You know, when people say schizophrenia, people generally automatically think of like hallucinations and like delusions and things like that. And obviously like those are a big part of the disorder, but it's not only just that. So people with schizophrenia deal with a lot of other symptoms that are way less talked about than just the regular kind of delusions, hallucinations. So I'll just quickly go through hallucinations. So these are any of your five senses. This is where you experience like, you know, a sense. It's where you are experiencing, like, you're seeing something that isn't there, you're hearing something that isn't there, smelling something that isn't there. So obviously it can be a five senses. So it can be like auditory, which is like hearing voices. It can be visual, so seeing. I mean, with visual it can be a wide variety of. There can also be olfactory, which is smell. So you can be smelling things that aren't there. Then there's also taste, obviously, which means that you can be tasting things that are not like real. You can also get tactile, which is touch. So tactile can be where you feel like, maybe, like for me, tactile hallucinations I've had were when I felt like there were bugs crawling all over me and in my hair. And I also thought there were bugs in my bed, like fleas, because I was seeing them visually, and I was also feeling like I was scratching, you know. And so I washed all my bedding, like everything, like pillowcases, entire thing, cleaned my room. But then I still saw them there, so I realized it was a hallucination, because it's not possible really for that to be there. Obviously you can ask somebody else whether they can see it or not. So those are like the positive symptoms. Those things definitely do play a role and make your life quite stressful. But for me at the moment, I find it's more of the negative and like cognitive symptoms that have been giving me issues. My medication has really reduced the positive symptoms quite a bit, like in regards to hallucinations. The delusions I have kind of come and go. They're really like on and off, and it depends on like whether I've, you know, stressed or had enough sleep or things like that. So again, delusions, real basic. You can have different sort of delusions. A delusion is where you believe something that isn't real, like false information, I suppose. So it's basically when you have beliefs that seem strange to other people, and you often can't see like any logic. So if somebody else tries to tell you, it's like if you think the sky is pink and you're convinced, if that, say that's my delusion, and then someone says no, the sky is blue, and you're like, no, the sky is pink. So it's kind of like what you're experiencing is the sky is pink, but to everyone else the sky is blue. So you can have different types of delusions over into both disorders. So those are like delusions. Now, when it comes to the other symptoms, it can also be things like confused thoughts and disorganized speech. So I really struggle with this confused thoughts. I often feel really confused all the time. Like I just don't know, I don't know like what is really happening, and I feel like I don't know like where I am, like what am I doing, kind of thing. It's basically like trying to organize your thoughts. So I just get like distracted, or I zone out, or the words in like the like conversation in my head, or like my thinking pattern is just kind of feels like it's all over the place. Trouble concentrating is something else that you can. Okay, so ironically in this video I am really struggling to get my thoughts together and to actually explain the information in a coherent way. I am forgetting words, and it's starting to get worse in this section where I'm just getting all the information mixed up and I'm not able to get my thoughts really in a linear way. Also I am very, very fatigued, so that is causing worse issues with my speech and with thinking. But this is a great example basically of when I just can't seem to find the right words, I can't seem to explain things properly. And this is information that I know off the top of my head, but I'm having to rely on notes quite heavily. And during the clip, you can see that I kind of stop talking and I kind of just look away for a bit because I'm just sitting there trying to think about what I was talking about, and I'm also getting kind of annoyed at myself for the fact that this video is just not working out how I wanted it to. But I wanted to just put this in because that they may become quite paranoid about it as well. And then there's also increased and then there's also an increased potential to be depressed. That can also come along with it. So being depressed can be something that people struggle with more of the negative symptoms, basically. Trouble with speech, so you might talk too much, or so trouble with speech. So you might not talk much, and it can kind of look like there's not really much going on with the person. Then there's obviously things like withdrawal and isolation, so people might isolate themselves. They might not talk to people anymore. They may avoid like medical appointments or things like okay, and then so for cognitive symptoms and thinking problems, this is how people's brains learn and stores and uses the information that they have. So some with schizophrenia might have a hard time with their working memory. For me, this is a really big one because I have dyscalculia, and my working memory is already quite impacted due to that. So this actually makes it a lot worse for me. So this symptom here is really difficult for me. So for example, they may not be able to keep track of different kinds of facts at the same time. You may not be able to remember phone numbers. You may feel really unorganized, trouble paying attention. You can't organize your thoughts or make decisions. Literally me, all the time. So the other thing I kind of wanted to mention was like brain fog as well. So brain fog can also be a issue, and it basically is just where, honestly, to me it feels like you're walking through water. You're just wading through water. You can't really seem to like grasp onto any solid like content or idea. It's kind of just a bit murky and you don't really know what is kind of going on. So people can, because of the blunted affect, people can think that you're like being rude, or they might think that you are like not really paying attention, because often if you're like really blunted, like you're not really using facial expressions or anything like that, I find personally with me, not now, but like a few years ago, I think people would take that as I was being really like standoffish and rude, or like I was being really snobby, and that wasn't the case. It's just that sometimes like I have no real emotion that can be like displayed outwardly, and it just happens sometimes, and so often you can just feel very like just not really much there, and that kind of comes and goes. So, you know, depending on like, again, things that kind of trigger these psychotic behaviors are, you know, stress, or if you're not sleeping enough, or, you know, medication changes, things like that. So anyway, I hope this explained what negative and positive symptoms were. Hope you found this helpful, and I hope that maybe if you have these symptoms that you understand that they are a part of the disorder and that it's not anything abnormal. If you're struggling with schizophrenia, it's just what comes along with it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.